The most powerful nation on earth believed it controlled the destiny of everything, but a single decision from God was enough to bring Egypt to its knees. Long before Moses was born, the children of Israel had gone down to Egypt because of famine. There, Joseph, son of Jacob, had been raised up by God and became governor. For a time, the Hebrew people were respected and prospered in that land. But generations passed, and a new Pharaoh arose, a king who did not know Joseph. This Pharaoh looked at the Hebrews and did not see a people. He saw a threat, numerous, strong, growing rapidly. Driven by fear, Egypt turned guests into slaves. The Hebrews began to live under whips, humiliation, and exhausting labor. They were forced to build cities, raise storehouses, and carry stones under the burning sun. Their lives became marked by pain, tears, and silence. And when Pharaoh realized that even so, the people continued to grow, he made a cruel decision. He ordered that every newborn Hebrew boy be thrown into the Nile River. Oppression reached its extreme. But it was exactly in this moment that God began to act. Between a mother's cries of pain and a father's fear, a baby was born. His mother hid him for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she placed the child in a basket and set it among the waters of the Nile, trusting his life to the God of Israel. The baby was found by Pharaoh's daughter, and by divine irony, he was raised inside the very palace that oppressed his people. His name was Moses. He grew up among riches, learning the wisdom of Egypt, but never forgetting who he was. Years later, when he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, Moses intervened, and he killed the aggressor. Afraid, he fled into the desert of Midian. There, far from the palaces, Moses became a shepherd, and for 40 years, the man who had lived as a prince learned to live as a servant. Until one day, the impossible happened. In the middle of the desert, a bush was on fire, yet it was not consumed. From within the fire, God called Moses by name. The Lord revealed that he had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt. He had heard the cry of the slaves, and he had decided to set them free. Moses was chosen to confront Pharaoh. Afraid, he questioned. He said he was not eloquent, that he was not capable, but God answered that he would be with him. And so Moses returned to Egypt. Before Pharaoh, he proclaimed the divine message, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Then God sent signs. The waters of the Nile turned into blood. Frogs invaded the land. Lice, flies, and plagues upon the animals. Boils covered their bodies. Hailstorms destroyed the crops. Locusts devoured everything that remained. And a deep darkness covered Egypt for 3 days. Even so, Pharaoh resisted until the final plague came, the most terrible of all. That night, the angel of death would pass through Egypt, and every firstborn would die. But God made a distinction. He commanded the Hebrews to sacrifice a lamb without defect and mark their doorposts with its blood. Where there was blood, death would pass over. That night, Egypt wept like never before. Pharaoh's firstborn died, as did the firstborn of every Egyptian who did not obey. Faced with unbearable pain, Pharaoh gave in. He ordered the people of Israel to leave immediately. After 430 years, the Hebrews left Egypt. They did not leave empty-handed. They left with silver, gold, and riches. Guided by God, they journeyed through the desert. By day, a pillar of cloud led them. By night, a pillar of fire gave them light. But Pharaoh changed his mind. He gathered his army and pursued them. When the Israelites reached the Red Sea, fear took hold. Before them, the sea. Behind them, the Egyptian army. It seemed like the end. But God commanded Moses to raise his staff, and the impossible happened. The sea was divided. The waters parted, forming walls on the right and on the left. The people crossed on dry ground. When the Egyptian army tried to follow, the waters returned to their place, and the power of Egypt was destroyed. On that day, Israel understood that the Lord is God, the God who sees, who hears, who delivers. The journey towards the promised land had begun, and this story remains alive as an eternal reminder. No slavery is greater than the power of God. No sea is too deep for him to open. No captivity is permanent when the Lord decides to act. If this message spoke to you, remain with us. Subscribe to the channel, strengthen your faith, and receive words that uplift your soul.
May the same God who opened the Red Sea open impossible paths in your life, and may you experience freedom, direction, and blessings beyond measure.